CD Projekt Red spent over $125 million, not on a new game, not on a DLC, but just to fix a game they already sold you. That's the price tag for the biggest, most expensive apology in gaming history. Cyberpunk 2077 wasn't just a broken launch. It was a corporate implosion so spectacular, Sony had to nuke it from their own store. It became the most hated game of the decade overnight. And yet, today, it's a genuine masterpiece. This isn't just a comeback story. This is the autopsy of a disaster and the blueprint for a resurrection.
December 17th, 2020, just 1 week after launch, Sony Interactive Entertainment does the unthinkable. They publicly execute Cyberpunk 2077, ripping it from the PlayStation Store and offering full, no questions asked refunds. This wasn't some indie game that missed the mark. This was the heir to The Witcher 3, the most hyped game of a generation, from a studio we thought was infallible. The digital mushroom cloud was visible from space. So how did CD Projekt Red, the darlings of the industry, the heroes of free DLC and player-first attitudes, screw up this badly? You have to understand the hype was a runaway freight train. For 8 years, they built it. Breathtaking trailers, deep dive gameplay showcases, and in the final lethal injection of hype, Keanu Reeves is in the game. The internet collectively lost its mind. The anticipation wasn't just a feeling, it was a physical force. Then the delays started. April became September. September became November. And then after the game had officially gone gold, they delayed it again to December 10th. They said it was for polish, to perfect the experience. We gave them the benefit of the doubt. This was CDPR after all. They wouldn't lie to us. But what we got on launch day, especially on PS4 and Xbox One, wasn't just unpolished. It was a scam. A blurry, sub-20 FPS slideshow where cars spawn from the sky, NPCs T-post in silent judgment, and the city itself would just disappear into a void of unrendered polygons. It was fundamentally unplayable, and CDPR knew. They deliberately hid the console versions from reviewers, only showing off the high-end PC build. This wasn't a mistake, it was a calculated deception. The backlash wasn't just anger, it was a profound sense of betrayal. The heroes had become villains, and their stock price, their reputation, and our trust were all burning in the same dumpster fire. With Night City burning and their reputation in ashes, CDPR kicked off the most pathetic apology tour in modern gaming. It started with a tweet, a corporate yellow background with a half-hearted mea culpa admitting they intentionally hid the last-gen console footage. Yeah, no kidding. Then came a hostage-style video from co-founder Marcin Iwinski, taking responsibility while trying to sell the idea that their internal testing just somehow missed the fact that the game ran like a PowerPoint presentation on the most popular consoles in the world. A claim so unbelievable it was insulting. But apologies don't fix a broken game, and they sure as hell don't get your $60 back. CDPR told players to get refunds, but they pointed them towards Sony and Microsoft's standard systems, which were notoriously strict. It created another firestorm of consumer rage until the platform holders themselves had to step in and create special refund policies just for this one game. The situation was so out of control, CDPR set up a dedicated email address, helpmerefund@cdprojectred.com, a digital soup kitchen for betrayed gamers. While the money was flying out the door, the first attempts to fix the game were clumsy, to say the least. Patch 1.1 in January 2021 was meant to be triage, a tourniquet on a severed limb. It focused on stability and crashes, but in a moment of pure, uncut irony, the patch introduced a new game-breaking bug that halted the main story. You couldn't make it up. It took until March, with the massive patch 1.2, for the first real signs of life to appear. The patch notes were a novel, a testament to just how broken things were. Finally, the cops stopped
teleporting directly behind you. Driving felt less like steering a boat on ice. They even added a feature to wiggle your car free when you inevitably got it stuck on a stray curve. It was a monumental effort, but it was just the first step on a marathon-length road to redemption.
For more than a year, Cyberpunk was a punchline, a ghost town you visited to laugh at the glitches. Then, February 15th, 2022, patch 1.5 drops. A 50-gigabyte monster that wasn't a patch, it was an exorcism. This was CDPR drawing a line in the sand and relaunching the entire game from the ground up. For PS5 and Series X owners, this was the day the real game arrived. A choice between a rock-solid 60 FPS performance mode or a jaw-dropping ray tracing mode. But the real surgery happened under the hood for everyone. The AI, which previously had the tactical awareness of a wet napkin, was completely rewritten. Enemies now flanked, used cover, and actually fought back with terrifying competence. The citizens of Night City finally got a brain cell. They'd run from gunfire, get into traffic jams, and some would even pull a piece on you if you got aggressive. The city was no longer a movie set. It was a living, breathing organism. And the role-playing? They finally fixed the role-playing. You could change your appearance at V's mirror, a feature so basic its absence was baffling. You could buy and customize new apartments across the city, which gave you small buffs for sleeping or showering, adding a layer of immersion that was desperately missing. But the biggest change was the perk trees. They were completely rebalanced. CDPR basically admitted half the old perks were useless trash. Remember the perk that made you undetectable underwater in a game with maybe 5 minutes of swimming? Yeah, that's gone. They refunded every single perk point and invited players to create actual, meaningful builds. The clunky throwing knives became a viable, badass playstyle. This wasn't just fixing bugs, this was delivering a vision. For the first time, there was real, tangible hope for Night City.
If patch 1.5 was a spark, the Netflix anime Cyberpunk Edgerunners was a goddamn napalm strike. In September 2022, Studio Trigger unleashed a 10-episode masterpiece that did what the game couldn't. It made everyone fall in love with the brutal, beautiful, soul-crushing soul of Night City. The tragic story of David Martinez wasn't just a great anime. It was the single greatest marketing tool CDPR could have ever dreamed of. The effect was immediate and seismic. In the week Edgerunners dropped, Cyberpunk 2077's player count exploded. We're talking 1 million players logging in every single day. On Steam, the concurrent player count shot up over 400%, hitting numbers not seen since the disastrous launch. It was a full-blown renaissance, fueled by breathtaking animation and a story that ripped your heart out. New players, hooked by the anime, flooded in. Old players returned, wanting to walk the same streets as David and Lucy. And CDPR was ready. They timed the Edgerunners update, patch 1.6, to perfection. This was their thank you. It added David's iconic yellow jacket to the game, a new questline, new weapons, and the one feature players had been screaming for since day one, a transmog system. Finally! No more sacrificing your drip for stats. You could look like the badass merc you were meant to be without wearing mismatched clown shoes for an armor bonus. It was a massive quality of life win that showed they were listening. The synergy was perfect. The anime sold the dream of Night City, and the game, now stable and vastly improved, was finally ready to deliver the experience. The comeback was no longer a possibility, it was happening.
On September 21st, 2023, CD Projekt Red took the version of Cyberpunk 2077 we had all been playing and threw it in the trash. Update 2.0 wasn't a patch, it was a hostile takeover of the game's core systems. It was so transformative that they forced every player to refund their perk points because every build you had ever made was now completely, utterly obsolete. This was Cyberpunk 2.0, a free sequel disguised as an update. The skill trees were nuked from orbit and rebuilt with a new philosophy: fewer, more impactful choices. No more 1% damage increases. Now, you unlocked things like air dashing, bullet deflection with a katana on a motorcycle, or an overclock mode for netrunners that lets you fry brains using your own health as a resource. This tied into the new cyberware system. Armor was ripped off your clothes and bolted directly to your chrome. Style was now completely separate from substance, a change that fundamentally respected the world's lore. But you couldn't just become a walking tank. A new capacity limit forced hard choices, unless you wanted to go full Psycho Purge with the Edgerunner perk, a direct nod to the anime that let you push your limits at a cost. And for the first time, you could actually use all this new hardware from your car. Vehicle combat was in. You could shoot out your windshield, slice tires with a katana on a motorcycle, or just mount rockets to your ride and blow everyone to hell. You needed it too, because the NCPD finally learned how to be cops. The old, broken system was replaced with a 5-star heat system, straight out of GTA. They'd chase you, set up roadblocks, and if you hit that 5th star, max tac drops from the sky to end your career. There's no escape, no surrender. It's a boss fight on the streets. Update 2.0 was a statement. It was the game finally becoming the deep, complex, and brutally fun RPG it was always supposed to be.
If Update 2.0 rebuilt the skeleton, Phantom Liberty was the soul, dropped alongside the overhaul. This wasn't just more content. It was a spy thriller masterpiece that stands shoulder to shoulder with the best story-driven expansions ever made. The hook is irresistible. A mysterious netrunner named Songbird offers you a cure for the relic in your head. But first, you have to rescue the president of the NUSA, whose space plane just got shot down over Dogtown, the most lawless hellhole in Night City. What follows is a paranoid, twisting narrative of espionage and betrayal. The linchpin of the whole operation is Solomon Reed, a grizzled, washed-up government agent played with breathtaking gravitas by Idris Elba. His complicated history with Songbird, his former protege, creates a tense, emotional core where your choices genuinely matter, leading to drastically different, gut-wrenching endings. The writing is just on another level. This whole drama unfolds in Dogtown, a brand new district that feels more dangerous and oppressive than anywhere else in the city. It's a walled-off combat zone ruled by a militia maniac, a crumbling monument to corporate failure. It's also home to the expansion's secret weapon, the Relic skill tree. This tree gives you access to experimental, almost illegal-feeling cyberware abilities, like charging your gorilla arms for a shockwave blast or performing a Predator-style leaping execution with your mantis blades. It makes you feel like a true Black Ops agent, a ghost in the machine. Phantom Liberty wasn't just an add-on. It was the final, gleaming piece of chrome. A high-stakes, prestige-level story that cemented Cyberpunk 2077's place in the pantheon of great RPGs.
Let's talk numbers, because the financial story here is just as wild as the games. The launch wasn't just a reputational disaster, it was a corporate nosedive. CDPR's stock plummeted over 75% from its peak, wiping out billions in value and erasing years of growth. The company went from being Europe's most valuable game studio to a cautionary tale on Wall Street. The immediate cost was about $51 million in refunds and lost sales, but the cost to fix their mistake was even staggering. Rebuilding the base game, including the next-gen update and the massive 2.0 overhaul, cost them $40 million. Developing and marketing the Phantom Liberty expansion cost another $85 million. All in, CDPR spent over $125 million just to earn back our trust. It was an insane gamble, but it was part of a forced evolution. The failure of the launch led to a deep, internal restructuring they called Red 2.0. They tore down the inefficient walls between departments and implemented a more collaborative, agile development process. They made a new rule: Their games must be playable and polished on all target platforms from the very beginning. A simple idea they had to learn in the most painful way possible. And the gamble paid off. The constant improvements, the Edgerunners phenomenon, and the 2.0/Phantom Liberty 1-2 punch turned the tide. By the end of 2023, the game had sold over 25 million copies, and Phantom Liberty sold 5 million in just a few months. As of 2024, total game sales have rocketed past 30 million. They not only clawed back their financial losses, but also restored investor confidence, settling a class action lawsuit for a mere 1.85 million. They didn't just save their game, they saved their company.
So what is Cyberpunk 2077's legacy? It's a paradox. It will forever be the poster child for disastrous launches, a story of hubris, and the dangers of believing your own hype. The launch was a betrayal, a stain that will never fully wash out. But it's also, undeniably, one of the greatest redemption stories in the history of this medium. It's proof that a studio can, through sheer force of will, astronomical spending, and a genuine commitment to their players, turn a catastrophic failure into a beloved classic. The journey transformed CD Projekt Red. They were humbled, forced to look in the mirror and fundamentally change how they make games. Their public commitment to abandoning their own Red Engine 5 for future projects, like the next Witcher game codenamed Polaris, and the Cyberpunk sequel, Orion, is the ultimate admission that the old ways were broken. They learned the hardest lesson a developer can learn. Trust, once shattered, has to be rebuilt one line of code at a time. Today, Cyberpunk 2077 isn't just a great game. It's a monument to failure, to resilience, and to the idea that a promise, even one that's horribly broken, is still worth keeping. It's a reminder that, in the end, a good story isn't about never falling down. It's about how you get back up.
So there you have it. From a public execution on the PlayStation Store to a standing ovation, that is the story of Cyberpunk 2077. It's a journey that proves a legacy isn't written in stone on launch day. It's forged in the fire of post-launch support and a stubborn refusal to quit. Now, I want to hear from you down in the comments. Forget other games. I want to know about your Cyberpunk story. What was the exact moment you realized it was fixed? Was it the first time you air dashed in combat? The first time max tac dropped on your head and you actually felt fear? Or was it the gut punch ending of Phantom Liberty? Let me know. And if you think we did this story justice, flatline that like button, subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive, and become a legend in this community. Thanks for jacking in, Chooms. We'll see you on the next one.